Some perfumes are not meant to be worn. They are meant to be remembered, or to remind you of what you tried to forget. This is not a story about fragrance. It is a story about presence, about desire without origin, and about a woman who perhaps never existed. Or worse, there has just been too much of it. Gray's office was the highest in the city, 49 floors above any noise, any traffic, any truth. There, time seemed to obey him. The hours were curved under his gaze. The hands, silent servants. But that morning, something was off. There was a scent in the air. It didn't come from the street, nor from anyone. It came from the room itself. On his black marble table, immaculate, severe, was a strange object. A small amber vial wrapped in dark velvet. No card, no signature, just a faded gold inscription, Essence 43. He didn't remember asking for it, but he couldn't look at anything else either. He picked up the bottle. Heavy, ancient, warm to the touch. He twisted the crystal lid and inhaled. The fragrance entered as a living presence. Jasmine, yes, but not conventional jasmine. It was warmer, thicker. It had notes that belonged to nothing he knew or could name. And then a voice, low, internal, hoarse, blown, Christian. He turned around violently, but the room was empty, or it seemed to be. The scent still hung in the air, but not as a fragrance, as memory. The next day, Christian called the fragrance division of Gray Enterprises. Among the newly hired names, there was a new perfumer from France. Discreet, young, an impeccable technical resume, but artistically unclassifiable. Name, Celine Aubriet. She entered her room as if gliding. She was dressed in black, a dress made of opaque fabric that absorbed the light. Her hair was tied up, her posture was straight, and her eyes amber. "Monsieur Gray," she said, with a slight accent. "Did you call?" He didn't answer right away. He watched her, like someone looking at a painting they've seen before, but don't know where. "You sent me a bottle." "Oui. A test. No name. No record." Celine sat down, crossing her legs smoothly. "Because it should not be named. Only felt." Christian kept his eyes on her. "And why me?" She tilted her head. "Because you were the one who dreamed about him. Even if you don't know it." He smiled briefly. Incredulous. "Are you saying you dreamed about me?" She nodded. "And with her?" "She?" Celine placed a smaller, hand-sealed ampoule on the table. The inspiration came in a dream. The smell. The formula. The name. Christian narrowed his eyes. "What name?" Celine just replied, "Cassandra." That night, Christian didn't sleep. He fell. He fell asleep in a moment of unconsciousness and woke up in a place he didn't know. An old room, red velvet curtains swaying like waves, a fireplace blazing, and perfume in the air. And then she, the woman, bare skin, loose hair, glowing amber eyes. She didn't walk. She glided. She came to him with her mouth half open, and she blew. "Christian." His name became mist on her lips, a whisper that burned like a confession. He tried to touch her skin, but his hands passed right through, as if she were made of smoke. And then he woke up, alone, sweating. The bottle on the nightstand was open, even though he remembered closing it. Days passed, and the scent was still there, even when he left the room, even when the bottle was sealed. He could feel it in the carpet, in the papers, in the air conditioning, but mostly within yourself. He started canceling meetings, ignoring phone calls, neglecting important decisions. The dreams intensified. Cassandra began to appear every night, sometimes in an old bathroom, other times in a flower garden at midnight, but always blowing your name, with a look that tore him apart, and with a presence that left him weak. One morning, Christian woke up as if he had been called. No sound, no light, Just instinct. He got dressed. He went downstairs. He took the elevator to the executive wing. Alone. He pressed the button for the ground floor, but the display froze on number 43. A floor that didn't exist. The building jumped from 42 to 44 on purpose. He tried pressing another button. Nothing. The doors opened with a mechanical sigh. Before him, a dark corridor covered in aged red velvet. Yellow lights flickered, perfume in the air, and at the end of the hall, she, Cassandra, dressed in a translucent white robe, barefoot, with eyes steady and soft like a slow fire. She didn't say anything. He just reached out his hand. He walked, but he never reached her. The hallway stretched out. With every step, she seemed further away, more unreachable. And then, it disappeared. He woke up lying on the floor of the elevator, with his head resting against the wall and an empty perfume bottle between his fingers. Christian sealed off one of the penthouse rooms. He had the mirrors covered. He closed the windows. He turned everything off. He called it the room without reflections. There, he would stay for hours with the bottle between his fingers. No words, no time. The perfume acted as an invocation. Each breath brought a fragment, a touch, a phrase, a feeling of something he had already experienced, but that was not included in his biography. On the third night inside the room, he fell to his knees, and for the first time, he said a name that seemed familiar and ancient. Cassandra. The sound echoed inside the empty room, and for a brief moment, he swore he would hear. The answer, a breath. The next morning, a black box was left on his desk. No return address, no logo, just a scarlet satin bow. Inside, 7 letters, scented paper, slanted writing, amber ink, all signed with the same name, Cassandra. The first one said, "You're not being bewitched, Christian. You're being remembered." The second, "I am what is left of what you chose to forget." The third, "You tried to erase me, but your body reminds me every night." In the 6th letter, an instruction, "Go to the place where the 43rd floor doesn't exist." And lastly, "Close your eyes. Inhale. I'll be there." That night, he returned to the elevator, but now, intentionally, he pressed buttons 4 and 3 at the same time. The interior lights flashed. The display froze. Level 43, access granted. The doors opened. The hallway was the same, but now there was music. Low, like a music box playing underwater. He walked to the end. The door opened without him touching it. Inside a hall. Velvet. Mirrors. An altar with antique jars. A high-back chair. And in front of a central mirror, she, Cassandra. She was dressed in white. Her hair was loose. Her feet were bare on the cold marble. "Do you remember me now?" she asked. Christian couldn't speak. "You tried to bury me in a formula, in a fragrance, but I am more than a scent. I am everything you cannot name." She came closer. The scent was the air between them. "Do you want to know what happened to the version of you that loved me?" He nodded shakily. She kissed him, and with the touch of his lips, he remembered everything. A hidden laboratory. 11 years ago, Cassandra was his first personal perfumer, hired before Anastasia, before fame, before emotional shielding. She created artisanal perfumes with molecules that activated unrecorded memories. He called it mirror perfume. Christian fell in love with her silently, with her eyes, her voice, her power of disappearance. But she was free, and he controlling. One night, Cassandra left him, but not without leaving something behind. She left a bottle, the original, with its essence, and a note, "When you want to remember me, inhale." He couldn't resist, and over time he became obsessed. The formula affected his mind. He had blackouts, breakdowns. The project was terminated. She disappeared, and he forgot, not by chance, He was induced to forget. After the kiss, after the memory, came the collapse. Christian woke up in his own bed. His shirt was open. His chest was sweaty, and the empty bottle was in his hand. But the strangest thing was the mirror in front of the bed. On it was written a single word in amber lipstick. Encore. One more time. He saw her there, not the reflection, but the memory. And as if guided, he returned to the 43rd floor. This time, the elevator was waiting for him with the door already open. Without typing anything, without a command, Cassandra was there, sitting in the chair like a living statue. "You've been conditioned to forget," she said. "By yourself. Why? Because loving something unattainable destroys. And you didn't know how to deal with what you couldn't control." He knelt down. "I don't want to forget anymore." She came closer. "But you must choose between sanity and memory." The following week, he began to see the world differently. The streets seemed slower. The people seemed more inconspicuous, as if everything were a backdrop for one thing, the next breath. He stopped sleeping, or he thought he was sleeping. She walked in the early hours of the morning. She went to the building and pressed the button for number 43, even though she knew the elevator would only open if she wanted it to. And sometimes it would open. Every time I entered, I saw a new room. A children's room full of jars. A piano room with jasmine petals on the floor. A glass staircase. And in the end, always her. But she never repeated the same form. Sometimes it was Cassandra. Sometimes Celine. Sometimes just a breath. Until one night she said, "You're not visiting me. You're coming home." Cassandra led him to a hidden room. An iron safe with mirrored walls. "In here is the truth," she said. Christian hesitated. She just reached out. "Only enter if you are willing to forget everything you think you are." He came in, and what he saw there was not a memory. It was a fragment of a deleted life. Letters he wrote and never sent. Notes she had hidden in books. Aromatic formulas with emotional labels. Unspoken jealousy. The last time we touched. The drop of fear that made you lock me in the jar. And in the center, a dark mirror. With his reflection crying. "You didn't lose me, Christian," her voice said. "You hid me so well that you ended up losing yourself too." The lab was reactivated. Just him and her. They recreated the formula. Not to sell it. Not to immortalize it. But to accept. They called the new version Revenant. From the French, the one who returns. It was the same perfume, but now with an extra note. Surrender. On the night of the final, she wrote the last letter. No envelope. No signature. Just one ticket. "When you're ready to let me go, breathe my name one last time." Christian returned to the room without reflections. With the bottle, he sat on the floor, inspired. He closed his eyes, and then he whispered, "Cassandra." The sound dissipated into silence. But this time she didn't come. Only the perfume remained. But something inside him reorganized itself. He cried, but without despair. He cried like someone cleaning an old window. And for the first time, he saw himself. Years passed. Cassandra Perfume was never released. But it existed, in his private collection, in memory of a love that was not physical, but visceral. Christian Grey never forgot the scent, nor the whisper, nor the woman who was perhaps too real for this world. In his autobiography, he never wrote about her. But on the last page, there is just one sentence. Some loves are not lived. They are inhaled. Others are blown back.